American people are frightened, and rightfully so. ISIS appears to have money. Terrorists appear to have money. Why shouldn't our homeland have the ability to protect itself?
Let's get right to it because it's going on inside the Beltway right now, and let's get to our guests. First of all, a former Democratic operative. He is the former vice president of the Florida Young Democrats, now a strategist for the left. Franco joins us. And next up, veteran lobbyist and political strategist, founder and president of the Keelan Group, Matt Keelan. Gentlemen, I thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and we'll roll the dice here. I'm going to start with you first on this one, Franco. Nancy Pelosi comes out and she says basically that it's amateur hour with the Republicans. Came out and took a shot today at them and basically said, once again, it's all your fault. This is why the government's shutting down. And she's basically just stoking the fires here. So is she right? Just amateurs?
I don't think she's stoking the fires, Ed. I think she's calling it like it is. To be quite honest, it's reckless and irresponsible for Republicans to once again, I can't believe we're actually back here. We've talked about this before. For Republicans to hold the country hostage and to hold our national security hostage. The Department of Homeland Security, one of the most vital parts of government with the Coast Guard, the Border Patrol, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. How do you hold these people hostage and the nation along with it just to play games over the president's legal executive order?
All right, hang on just a sec. I'm going to stop you there because you're on a roll here, but I'm going to get Matt in here. All right, Matt, let's get it to you. Let's see. Amateur hour for the Republicans, reckless and irresponsible. I have this odd feeling that you would like to reply.
Yeah, I would completely disagree. You know, Nancy Pelosi, who is famous for you have to pass the bill to know what's in the bill. We're still under those ramifications. But at the end of the day, it's the president and Senate Democrats that are not allowing an up or down vote on parts of the DHS that have to do with the president's illegal executive order, which has been overturned by a court in Texas. The president currently wants to just go ahead and plow through with implementing those laws, even though the court has told him not to. So it gives you an idea of where the president's coming from on this. Look, at the end of the day, there's 8 million people here, and we need to know who those people are and how they got here and what their intentions are once they're here. And that's one of the things that I don't think the department can tell you right now. You know, things have changed in the last 6 months, Ed. We're under attack across the world from radical Islamists, and we need to start to get control of the situation here, and I think the president needs to start to get serious and actually lead.
All right, let's get down to this legalese question here for a minute. I want you both to hear this because this is Andrew McCarthy. He's a former assistant United States attorney for the Southern District of New York. We had him on the show yesterday. I mean, this is a guy who should know his law inside and out, and the question I put to him was very simple. Was the president within his legal rights as the chief executive to issue his executive action order on immigration? And here's what Andrew McCarthy said.
The executive order also talks about positive legal benefits, things like work permits, social security numbers, and registration and the like. Those are things, adjustment of status, that are only in Congress's purview, and the executive branch has absolutely no authority to issue them.
All right, Franco, to you. He said basically no. So come on, let's get to it right now. How long can the left keep saying that the president was within his rights when we have constitutional scholars and lawyers who've been around for a long time say absolutely not? He snapped the Constitution in half.
Well, two things. First of all, to my friend here on the right, I do want to just take exception with the fact that this judge did not overturn the president's executive order. He simply put a hold on it for now in order for the judiciary to review it. And secondly, that's actually a hold that the government has filed a stay against that to allow the president's legal executive order to continue to be enforced. And that's a stay that just this week in Miami, the president said, we're certain that the Circuit Court of Appeals will uphold that, and if they don't, we're going to the Supreme Court.
Andrew, you keep using the phrase legal executive order. Here's an attorney, basically, and others who've said it's not legal.
The president, by the way, had said 24 times that it was not legal nor constitutional, why he couldn't do it. All of a sudden, the left has decided that those 24 times, the president was wrong.
So, Franco,
there's a long history, Ed, to tell you the truth, there's a long history of presidents on both sides of the aisle, including especially President Reagan and President George H.W. Bush, issuing very similar executive orders.
Okay, but we have to stop there.
Franco,
Wait a minute. I have to stop you here. One, because we're out of time for this segment. We're going to take a break and come back. And really, guys, don't you think, and I'm going to let you sit on this for a couple of minutes, let's stop going back to the past and let's stop talking about what other presidents did and let's move forward to the future. I'm going to let you mull on that for a few moments, if you will, because we got a whole lot more to discuss when we come back. We are still waiting to hear what happens in Washington, and Jeb Bush will speak at CPAC, and we'll carry it live. It all comes up right around Midpoint. Stay with us. Back to work here on Midpoint. Let's welcome first again Democratic strategist Franco and Republican lobbyist and strategist Matt Keelan. All right, gentlemen, we got you both on face. There we go. Let's get to it. And Matt, I'm going to start with you this time. Look, let's just stop for a moment, take a breath. Everything in Washington right now is completely upside down. You have left and right arguing. You have people trying to place blame no matter what happens. Everybody says they're right. Everybody says the other guy is wrong. For crying out loud, Matt, you can hear it building in my voice right now because I'm beginning to feel like the American people. Where do we find some manner of working here and getting it done? It's a frustrating moment for America here, Matt. How do we start? Who starts it?
Well, I totally agree, and I think it's going to have to come from Congress, and those in Congress have to work together and hope that the president is going to be who he said he was going to be, which was post-partisan, bringing the country together. If you look at the history of his administration, it's going to go down in history as one of the most partisan, most divisive in my lifetime for sure. But if you look at Congress, they are doing some things together. There's some things that maybe the president disagrees with, but people in his own party are voting for. I'll give you a perfect example. The Keystone Pipeline. Overwhelmingly, the Republican Party supports it, but many Democrats do as well, as do many people in their coalition in organized labor. These are jobs for those labor unions that we're talking about, and he continues to not want to do something that the Congress in a bipartisan way has passed and that the American people in an overwhelming fashion support.
Franco, I got to get it to you on this here because I tell you what, Matt makes a great point. Everybody, and I tell you, I have Democratic friends of mine who will even tell you that things happen and the Republicans don't always listen. Now, hold on 1 minute, hang that question, because we're going to go live right now. We're going to interrupt. Jeb Bush is coming to the podium. Gentlemen, please stand by. I want you to hear this. Jeb Bush now at CPAC. He is going to have his chance now to answer questions and tell us what he believes his vision of America is. And remember, there are a lot of Tea Partyists who said that when Jeb Bush comes to the stage, they're going to walk out. And if you look right there, you saw one person raise the flag and start to walk out. The Tea Party has said that they would respectfully walk out when Jeb Bush got finally to the audience. They did just that. Now let's go live to CPAC and let's hear what Jeb Bush has got to say.
As a lot of, I got to start with, are you mad at your mom because she did say, well, I don't know if we need another Bush in the White House? What is your reaction to your mom?
Well, I saw that actually, Sean, on the Today Show when my brother was opening up his presidential library and But since that time, she's had a change of heart.
Yeah.
And that's all right by me.
We've had your dad and your brother as President of the United States. You made a statement the other day. You said, well, wait a minute, I am my own man.
Yeah, so if I go beyond the consideration of the possibility of running, which is the legal terminology that many of the people here coming to CPAC are probably using to not trigger a campaign, if I get beyond that and I run for president, I have to show what's in my heart. I have to show that I care about people, about their future. It can't be about the past. It can't be about my mom and dad or my brother, who I love. I love them all. It has to be about the ideas that I believe in to move our country forward so that we can have high sustained economic growth where more people have a chance at earned success, because in America today, more and more people don't think that system works for them anymore. And for conservatives to win, we need to give them hope that if we create the field of dreams, that people can rise up again.
Let me ask you, the last time you were at CPAC, this was picked up, was in, I think, the Washington Post today. You said, all too often, I think you were talking about conservatives, we are labeled and associated with being anti-everything. Way too many people believe Republicans are anti-immigrant, anti-women, anti-science, anti-gay, anti-worker, and the list goes on. I want you to expand on that.
Sure. So, look, I think the conservatives in Washington have been principled in opposing the overreach. And they've actually done a pretty good job. The president jammed down the throat Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act and Dodd-Frank and the stimulus, but we have fought in a principled way increased overreach. He's now using his executive power to try to carry out his agenda. But over time, we have to start being for things again. And I think what we need to be for is a strong national defense where we are committed each and every day to protect the homeland with these new asymmetric threats that exist that are real. It's not a joke. These are threats that not just have an impact in the neighborhood in the Middle East or certainly have an impact on Israel. It impacts us as well. And so we need to stand for a strong national defense and the defense of the homeland. And we need to give people a sense that if we started growing our economy again, the middle would start having rising income again. And what you would do to do that is offer compelling alternatives to the failed tax policies, the failed regulation policies, a broken education system, and making sure that people know that we're on their side to rise up. So it's good to oppose the bad things, but we need to start being for things.
Yeah.
And here's, Sean, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Obviously, there are a lot of committed conservatives in this room, and this is why it's such a spectacular gathering. There are a lot of other conservatives that haven't been asked. They don't know that they're conservative. If we share our enthusiasm and love for our country and belief in our philosophy, we will be able to get Latinos and young people and other people that you need to win to get 50. This is...
Governor, every article I have read talks about you and a divide with the conservative movement over two issues. I want to deal with...
I read about it.
You saw it once in a while?
Yeah,
and it has to do with immigration and Common Core. So
Yeah.
let's directly deal with this. Now,
Yeah.
you said, yeah, they broke the law. It's not a felony. It's an act of love. You also said that you support a pathway to citizenship. And when you were governor, two other things. When you were governor, you supported driver's licenses for illegal immigrants, and you supported in-state tuition prices for those children of illegal immigrants that weren't citizens. Wait a minute. Hang on. I want to give you an opportunity to address that.
Sure. So, on immigration, I wrote a book about this, and instead of people opining about what I believe, they might want to read the book. It's called Immigration Wars. You can get it on Amazon for probably $1.99. It's probably deeply discounted. And in that book, I talk about, first and foremost, the need to enforce the borders. A great country needs to enforce borders for national security purposes, public health purposes, and the rule of law. First and foremost, we have to do that. Secondly, we need to narrow family petitioning so that it's the same as every other country, spouse and minor children. Not this broad definition of spouse, minor children, adult siblings, and adult parents that crowds out what we need, which are economic-driven immigrants. Those that want to come here to work, to invest in their dreams in this country, to create opportunities for all of us. And that's what we need to get to. And so and the plan also includes a path to legal status. I have not seen anybody, and I know there's disagreement here. Some of these people are angry about this, and look, I kind of feel your pain. I was in Miami this morning. It was 70 degrees. So the simple fact is, there is no plan to deport 11 million people. We should give them a path to legal status where they work, where they don't receive government benefits, where they don't break the law, where they learn English, and where they make a contribution to our society. That's what we need to be focused on.
Okay. A lot of reaction. Let me do a follow-up. We had Senator Rubio, a friend of yours from Florida, and I asked him the same question. We always hear about spending cuts and tax increases. We always end up getting the tax increase. We never get the spending cut. The Congress has tried comprehensive immigration reform, and it has failed. We now have a crisis going on with the Department of Homeland Security, the President's executive orders. My question is, why not secure the borders first, once it's verified, secured?
Let's do it.
First.
Let's do it, man.
And then talk about...
I mean, so instead of having a political argument about this, the President did use authority he doesn't have. The courts are going to overrule that. I've been consistent about that. Let's control the border. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what a great nation has to do. There's nothing that holds back the Republicans to put a comprehensive plan in place to do that. But the simple fact is, this nation needs to start growing at a far faster rate than we're growing today. We have to be young and dynamic and aspirational again for all the young people in this crowd to be able to get a job of purpose and meaning. We need to begin to change the subject to high sustained economic growth.
Let me ask, I don't want to spend all our time on immigration, but I want to go through some yes or no scenarios with you. Number one, for example, do you agree with conservatives that say Congress should not pass a Homeland Security funding bill that would fund the president's illegal and unconstitutional amnesty?
I think the Congress ought to pass a bill that does not allow him to use that authority.
And they should stand their
We should
ground.
not, look, I don't know. I'm not an expert on the ways of Washington. It makes no sense to me that we're not funding control of our border, which is the whole argument. I'm missing something.
agree
So
that
I'm not
the
an
borders-
expert on that. The simple fact is the president has gone way beyond his constitutional powers to do this, and the Congress has every right to reinstate their responsibility for what law is about.
Yes or no? 100,000 people came from Central America. We all watched over last summer.
Right.
Should they be sent home?
I thought they should have been sent home at the border, to be honest with you, because it would have created, here's the deal. The humanitarian thing to do would have been to consistently say from the beginning, don't risk your lives crossing as young people. Don't pay the gangsters in Central America money from your family members in this country to come all the way across and just get into the country and be processed. And now with our broken system, it may take 3 or 4 years to even begin to process them. Send a clear signal that this was a dangerous thing to do and a wrong thing to do, and it would have stopped the flow. We did that as it relates to in Miami, in Florida. That was exactly what Bush 41 did as it related to Haitians, and it stopped the flow of people, and people didn't lose their lives trying to come to this country.
Let me ask you this. Okay. I mentioned this earlier when I had an opportunity to speak to this great crowd here, and that is, right now at this point in the country, at this moment in history, we have 50 million Americans, nearly 50, in poverty. Nearly 50 million Americans on food stamps.
Yep.
The lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s. I want you to connect it to immigration. Shouldn't Americans have the opportunity for those jobs first? You say go to the back of the line.
Yeah.
No, but if they go to the back of the line, they still get to stay here and compete for those
Sean,
jobs that are available.
Sean, here's the deal.
Yeah.
You either believe that the pie is static, that's the left's point of view, and many on the right don't agree with that, but by their policies, they imply it. And therefore, we're splitting it up. Someone's benefit is someone else's detriment. I believe that what we ought to be focused on is growing the economic pie, and growing it at a rate that looks more like the 80s in America. Growing it closer to 4%, not 2%. If we stay in this anemic economic rate, then your argument becomes valid. But if we grow at 4%, there's going to be opportunities for all. It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
That's not how Republicans and conservatives think. We don't think that it's just all about the government divvying it up for us to get our crumbs. We believe we should pursue our dreams as we see fit, and the more people doing it with the capacity to achieve earned success, the more economic growth will take place for all of us.
My last question on immigration is going to be, as governor, do you stand by the decision, driver's licenses for
Didn't
illegals?
happen.
Didn't happen. You tried. And the other decision about in-state tuition breaks for children.
I do. In fact, that was the in-state tuition was passed this year.
All right.
By one of the most conservative state legislatures, I might add, and a conservative governor, signed into law this last year.
Let me ask you the second big issue
Not by me.
that always comes up when you read about Governor Jeb Bush is the issue of Common Core. It was interesting. I didn't know until I was researching you that you were the first governor to institute vouchers in the country. It was eventually overruled by the Supreme Court of Florida, but you were the first governor to allow a voucher system. I think a lot of conservatives believe in vouchers. I want you to address the Common Core issue.
Well, I'll do it in the context of comprehensive reform, because high standards by themselves aren't meaningful. They're helpful. They're better than lower standards, but by themselves, if there's no accountability around this, if there's no consequence between mediocrity and failure or excellence, then the system won't move forward. In Florida, we took a comprehensive approach. Yes, we did have the first statewide voucher program, and we have more school choice in Florida, both public and private, than any state in the country. And we have the largest virtual school. We have the largest corporate tax scholarship program. We have 30,000 students that if their parents, that if their child has a learning disability, they can take the dollars, the state and local dollars, and send them to any private school of their choice. We have all of that, and that's improved public schools. We eliminated social promotion in 3rd grade, which was a pretty difficult thing to do. We did all of this, and we raised standards.
All right, so Governor Jeb Bush continues to address the crowd at CPAC. He's going to go on there for a couple of minutes here. Now let's go take a couple of minutes back, if you will. Bring back our guests, Franco Ripple and Matt Keelan, left and right here. Gentlemen, we've had a chance now to listen to Jeb Bush. So, Matt, let me throw it to you first. I heard in things like strong national defense, but the thing that I found interesting that he got a tremendous reaction from the crowd is no plan to deport 11 million people, give them a path to legal status, give them jobs, let them learn English, get them into America assimilated. Pretty smart thing for him to say, don't you think?
I definitely think so. And he was right in saying that those that oppose his current plan have no plan what to do with those people. So, we have to get back to reality and try to decide what we're going to do to move forward, as you've been saying throughout the program. I think Jeb Bush, as governor, showed great talent for doing that in a very big state, and I think he did it in a pretty bipartisan way in Florida as well. But I think he's a pretty common sense guy that's trying to make some common sense ideas into policy.
Franco, do you think that Jeb Bush would strike fear in the hearts of Hillary Clinton and her followers?
Well, what I found interesting about his remarks just now is that I thought he was actually, and having been a Floridian when he was governor here, I thought that he was on the defensive a little bit and combative, because this crowd is really not his people. He's not necessarily a rock-ribbed conservative. Something I found interesting about his remarks is that he lays out this plan for immigration reform while at the same time saying that he does not believe that Congress should pass a bill that allows the president's so-called illegal executive action to stand. That puts him at odds with his own party, because Congress, the Republicans in Congress, Democrats stand united. The Republicans are divided right now. You've got the Senate saying one thing, sending a clean bill with no provisions to remove the president's executive actions, and then you've got the House twiddling their thumbs, doing absolutely nothing about it, and they're not going to get this thing done. So I think
Franco, answer my question, though. Do you think that... hang on one second here, Matt. I'm going to give you a chance. Franco, answer my question. Do you think that Hillary Clinton and her followers would be afraid of a Jeb Bush competition, if you will?
I think that Hillary Clinton, should she decide to run, is going to run for president based on her many, many decades, 4 or 5 plus decades of service to her nation. And I don't think she's going to be running against anyone in particular.
Then you don't think she would fear Jeb Bush?
Well, I think Jeb Bush would first. I don't, but I think Jeb Bush would also have to get the nomination first.
All right. Well, again, we understand that, and so would Hillary Clinton, for that matter. Matt, I'll give you the final word here. Do you think anybody would fear Jeb Bush?
I think Hillary Clinton certainly should. He has proven that he can win in a tough state like Florida. He has the ability to build an infrastructure and raise the money to take her on. And I think that he has 2 terms of accomplishments compared to a couple of years in the State Department, where I don't think Hillary's going to be running on Benghazi and some other things that happened. The reset button in Russia, that's worked out really well for the country so far. So I think record versus record, Jeb Bush is going to win in 2016 if it comes to that.
All right, there we go. There's a couple of bold predictions, but we'll go ahead and stick with that right now. We're out of time. Gentlemen, thanks so much for hanging tight with us and being with us. Franco Ripple, Matt Keelan, look forward to talking to you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, take care. Next up, the man who's been to every country in the world on Midpoint.